Hello and welcome to That Shooting Show. My name's Steve Anderson. I am your humble host. I want to let you know we are a proud service of Walther Firearms, who manufactures the finest production type handgun on the planet. That is, of course, the PDP. That steel frame gun. It gives you steel frame goodness without steel frame problems. No ADs, no broken slide stops, no decocking, none of it. Just good heft and awesome shooting. And of course, CR Speed is where it rides. The finest gun handling gadgetry you can wrap around your waist or anywhere else. And the AMG-Lab, the AMG-Lab.com Commanderson Timer continues to record all of your gunfire events for studious study later. And of course, Hunter's HD Gold is the only eyewear that I am aware of ever wearing. I am wearing it right now. OutdoorDynamics.net remanufactures the finest competition ammunition you can dispense from a Freedom Seed dispenser. ShootingSportsInnovations.com is a lot to type because there's a lot to see when you get there. And Targets USA, making the finest steel targetry and other targetry on the planet. Okay, so we've got online mental management coming up in December. December 4, 11, and 18. I believe we have a 7 p.m. time slot for that right now. If you want another time slot on that day, if you're in a different time zone, let me know and we can do that. It's very easy to do. Going to be in Parma, Ohio, February 1st and 2nd at the indoor Parma Armory range. So I guess it would be Parmery. The Parmarmory. Parmarmory sounds like an Italian seasoning. Yes, I'll have the penny pasta with the Parmarmory on it. February 1st and 2nd, going to be in Atlanta at South River, February 6th, 7th, and 8th. We have a class online on how to do the journal on December 15th, so check that out, andersonshooting.com. And we got something percolating in Phoenix right now in the month of January. So if you're anywhere near Phoenix and you want to get together in January, drop me a line, steve@andersonshooting.com, and we will get you in on that. And for the rest of the year, you can do a class with me. That I have at least 3 different classes, or we can customize one for you, or you can do the Steve and Keita Experience Part 1 or 2. All of these classes are massive game changers, and the host usually gets the class for free. It's pretty sweet. All right, so first stage jitters and shooting below your skill. These are very, very common problems that do not have to persist. See, the shooting world thinks that these things are, what's the word I'm looking for? Inevitable is not the right word. They think they're cursed to have these problems. You know, every 6 months somebody posts the Men in Black meme of the memory thing, and they say my stage plan, and then the timer goes off, and Will Smith is holding up the little mental bonker. Okay, well that doesn't have to be true. You think that's true, and you're relying on that to be true. Your experience is it doesn't need to be that way. Okay, and this podcast was inspired by a call I did with a guy who is going through this problem. So let's look at first stage jitters and shooting below your skill, because they're related. So for starters, first stage jitters are a form of pressure, and pressure can be unpredictable. It can arrive or intensify unexpectedly. It's kind of like love in that regard. Whoa! I just caught feelings. Boom! I just got pressure. Oh, I should stop that. Well, you can't. It can't be stopped. Okay? So we got to understand that first of all. There's nothing you can do to stop pressure. But when you realize what it is and what it actually does, you can use it to your advantage. Or in South Africa, your advantage. Okay? The only thing pressure can do is amplify what you are thinking and feeling. Right? So, if I'm scared, anxious, nervous, worried, and scared. Well, that's scared twice. That must mean I'm really scared. Pressure makes it worse. Pressure gives me more of these undesirables. Okay? But if I'm confident and I know what to do, pressure can make me better. So if you think about your shooting career, pressure hasn't always been a problem. You can go back and find moments where pressure was actually helpful. Oh, I was feeling pressure. Okay? I did really well. Well, if you did well under pressure, it's because you knew what to do, you had done it a lot, you were skilled at it, and you were, this can take several forms, but the bottom line is you weren't worried about the results. Either you had made peace with it. Either you knew it was going to go well, maybe you didn't care for some reason, but you weren't worried about the results. This generally makes you better at work. If you think about your job, if you have a high pressure job and you know what to do, you've done it a lot, and you expect to be successful, pressure makes you better. Now, my question is, which one of those is missing in your shooting? Do you not know what to do? It's very possible. What do you mean I don't know what to do? Well, you may not know what to do. When you go to the line, you may not specifically have an executable task. And the reason you don't is because you haven't recorded what you were doing, when you were getting it right. You don't know. And that's because you never let yourself get it right. If you're always unhappy with your performance, always, then by default, you will have nothing to duplicate. You literally won't know what to do. This is the primary reason for keeping a performance journal, which again, we have the class coming up online December the 15th on the performance journal. All I'm asking you to do is take 10 minutes and write down what you are doing when you are getting it right that you can duplicate. And you're going to begin to see some similarities. And I don't know why people aren't willing just to write it down. It takes 10 minutes. Think of the journal as dry fire for the mental game or dry fire for the self-image. Okay? That's what it is. And if you're not willing to do that, you're going to be stuck in the middle of the pack. If you look at the national middle of the pack, we're not going to name names because we don't need problems, okay? But if you look at the people that are in the middle of the pack nationally, every year, the names don't change, okay? Those are phenomenal shooters who belong on the super squad who don't have a good mental game. Because they say, oh, the mental game's not that important. Doesn't matter. Okay, well, welcome to the middle of the pack. And you can get there with hard work. And that's why they don't believe in the mental game, is because they've gotten to the middle of the pack with a lot of hard work. Heck, in some cases, they are better shooters than the people that are beating them. But the mental game is what's missing. Okay? So you may not know what to do. Now, the skills, you've got them. You've got the skills. You have practiced them a lot. You've dry fired a lot. You've done the work. You have the skill. But you don't expect to be successful because you don't let yourself be successful. In training, you don't let yourself be successful. Well, you're telling me to be complacent and be accepting of mediocrity. I never said anything of the sort. I never said that. I just said acknowledge when you are getting it right. I didn't say perfect. I said, hey, I went out and practiced today and I got it right. And here's how I did it. Hey, I won a stage at my last match. Here's specifically what I did to be successful. Oh, maybe I could duplicate that. I had a call yesterday with a guy who suffers from consistency. He doesn't know what he's doing when he's getting it right. So the question I asked him, I said, okay, tell me about your best stage. Well, I've generally felt like really, no. Stop. Tell me about your best stage. He goes, oh, I was locked in. Okay, what does that mean? See, you got to turn vague ideas into executable tasks. Locked in. That's wonderful. What does that mean? Oh, I got a lot of reps of my stage plan. Okay, now we have a duplicable, executable task. I got a lot of reps of my stage plan. Wonderful. Write that down. That is something you can always do. And I'm so tired. Man, the next time somebody says to me, oh, I never have enough walkthrough time, I'm going to roll my eyes so hard you'll be able to hear it in Wisconsin. Okay? And that's because the only time walkthrough time will be a problem is if you show up late to your first stage and you don't expect to go first. After that, you are literally in control of walkthrough time. You're in control of it. Yeah. How are you spending that time? The vast majority of people I see that complain about insufficient walkthrough time are wasting that time. They're grab-assing, they're goofing off, they're talking about the competition, they're complaining about the weather, and then they complain about insufficient walkthrough time, okay? I was never that much fun to shoot with, and people would complain all the time, oh, Anderson, you're no fun to shoot with. I'm like, I'm at work over here. I got a job to do. I got a giant bullseye on my back every time I go to a match. Every single time. I'm working. Now, when the match is over, I'll be the most fun there. I'll stack up beer bottles till we get kicked out of the restaurant. That actually happened. Roosters on Route 22 or 23, probably 23, Circleville, Ohio. I was there with the great Kyle Ferris. Bill Sievers was there. Who else was there that you might know? Bill Sievers was there. Kyle Ferris was there. These are older names. You may not know them. It doesn't matter. All the Ohio greats were there. And we were stacking up beer bottles. We were playing Jenga with beer bottles. We were asked to leave. And we didn't. But that's a different point. So, you cannot be successful without a definition of success. It is impossible. And all you need to do when you arrive at your first stage, assume you're going first. You've already gotten there early. Create a subconscious stage plan with positive imprints. What does that mean? That means this is what I am going to do, and I believe that I can do it. And that's a very conscious thought. Okay? I am going to execute this stage plan. I believe it is the best stage plan for me on this day, on this stage. That's critical because don't you shoot better when you love the stage and love your plan? Well, Christian Seiler loves every stage and loves every plan. Eric Graffel sees stages he shot before. Okay, and I don't know if this is intentional on their part or if it's accidental. It doesn't really matter, right? You can possess these components, conscious, subconscious, self-image, without knowing specifically mental management because mental management was not invented. It was discovered. It's like gravity. You can't opt in or out of gravity. It's always working. I'm the guy who can tell you how to make gravity work in your favor because you can't fight it, okay? But if you create a subconscious stage plan with positive imprints, and you shoot with a singular focus, that's success. And if you look at your best stages, think about your very best stages. I promise you, here's what you're going to find. You knew the stage very well, you weren't thinking very much, and you weren't worried about the results. But you don't document the various conditions in which that happens because that can happen numerous ways. If it's a really simple stage, maybe you didn't get 20 reps, but you knew it inside and out. If you weren't thinking a lot, maybe you were hungover, maybe you were sick, maybe you had to go to the bathroom. Okay, those conditions may not be duplicable, but you weren't thinking very much. Okay, that's duplicable. We can duplicate that. And then not worrying about the results, well, if you didn't care, that isn't duplicable. Maybe you knew you were going to win. Maybe you thought your stage plan was so great that a great execution would get you a stage win, but you weren't worried about the results. You knew it was going to be okay. These conditions can be replicated, but you need to document the various ways in which they happen. Okay, sometimes it's a happy accident. Cool. Well, happy accidents don't win matches. Ooh, that might be it. That might be good clickbait. Happy accidents don't win matches. Well, sometimes they can. A lot of you won. In fact, the guy I was talking to, he's a PCSL guy. I'm a PCSL expert, by the way. I know that sport inside and out. Numerous world championships in mental PCSL. But his first event, his rifle skills weren't that great compared to his pistol skills. So he said, you know what? This is my first match. It is what it is. Can't change it. Just going to shoot. And he won. He won his match by surprise. You could call that a happy little accident, but we need to understand why. He wasn't worried about the results. Okay? Shooting below your skill is always, always caused by a poor self-image. Something happened to self-image, either long-term or short-term or both, that caused us to worry that our normal performance would not be good enough, therefore we overtry or we undertry. Okay? And when first stage jitters cause the conscious control of speed, that is always going to be an error. I need you guys to learn this and understand it. Okay, there's some ironclad principles here, AndersonShooting.com. Number one, the conscious control of speed in competition is always going to be an error. That is never a good idea. So if you're ever tempted to speed up or slow down, it's an error. By definition, when you consciously control your speed, you're not getting access. It's a giant festering pimple. When you consciously control your speed, by definition, you are not getting access to your skill. What does that mean? That means you're not getting access to your training. When people have this problem, when they're consciously controlling their speed, they think, oh, I'll just go train more. That's what I'll do. I'll go train more. Well, that brings us to the second problem. The negative imprints during training are the primary cause of the damage to the self-image that is causing you to shoot below your skill. And you cannot outsmart this. You can try, but you can't. So anytime you're in, some people will say, smart people, really smart people might say, hey, come out of the gate at about 80%. Well, you could do that, And that's going to be better than 110%, but it's not going to be top performance. And if the first stage is a high point stage, that's a terrible place to get 80% of your skill if you want to win. Now, again, under-trying will produce a better result than over-trying, but it won't be top performance. And people spend their entire career going from under-trying to over-trying. And this is what you hear. And this is very common, okay? Hey, you're shooting too many alphas. You need to shoot some more Charlies. Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to slow down and get your hits. Oh, okay. Well, those are both the conscious control of speed. And it's always an error. What should you do? Shoot at the speed of sight. Okay? I'm driving to the airport tomorrow to go do a class in San Antonio with the great mighty Kita Bussey. I don't know what the traffic's going to be like, so I'm going to leave early. And if I get into traffic, I'm going to drive the flow of traffic. But if I stand here and say, hey, if I hit traffic, I'm going to drive 17 miles an hour. Well, that might be too fast and it might be too slow. Targets are traffic. A stage is a traffic jam. Targets are traffic. The flow of traffic is the flow of you seeing what you need to see. Okay? Now let's talk about the performance loop of a poor self-image. Okay? If somebody has a poor self-image, this is what they're going to do. They're going to under-try out of fear. So they're going to start the match slow, cautious, slow down and get your hits because that's worked in the past. And then they're going to feel slow or be revealed to be slow. Now, we all know that our best shooting is going to feel a little slow. And I think it's called tachypsychia or something like that. Maybe a Star Trek character. I don't know. Tachypsychia, I think is what it's called. I have to look it up. Kita Bussey is screaming at her phone right now. You're mispronouncing it, dummy. I believe it's called tachypsychia. But it feels kind of slow. Time seems to stop or slow down. That's because I believe it's because you're processing visual information. There was a guy that he processed a bunch of near-death experiences and he recreated near-death experiences. And the conclusion he came to was that the brain is processing information to keep you alive, which makes you temporarily unable to measure time. And what happens in shooting is very similar. It's not a near-death experience, but it's close. It's got a similar level of pressure. Okay, so they under-try out of fear. And they halfway through the match, they either feel like they're slow or they've been checking their times and their times are slow, so they speed up. And then they make the big mistake that they were afraid of, and then they choke. The choke is the big mistake that costs you whatever you think the result was going to be. Like if you thought you were going to win and you make a big mistake and you choke, oh, but I can't win anymore, so I don't care. And then you shoot really well. That was me at major matches for a long time. I was a major match choker. And I did exactly that. I would come out conservative. I would either be slow or feel slow or be revealed to be slow. And then I'd pick up the pace. I'd make the big mistake. And then I would shoot amazing after that. Well, there's two problems. Number one, at the upper level, you can't win a match when you really trash a stage at the upper level. I mean, yes, you can recover from that, but it's pretty rare. That actually happened to Rob Latham once. So Rob Latham zeroed a stage at the Dark House. I believe it was Missouri. They had a Dark House every year sponsored by a flashlight company. Rob Latham zeroed the stage. He had some kind of a problem. Came back, won every stage, won the match. How did he do it? Self-image. At that time, Rob Latham was the king of iron sight shooting. If it had iron sights on it, it didn't matter if it was a revolver or a slingshot. He was going to win. He knew it. Everybody else knew it. So after the big mistake, after the big problem, his self-image said, hey, we win matches, we win nationals. That's kind of what we do. So self-image gives him the performance that enables the conclusion that self-image has come to. Hey, we win this match. Now that is something that won't work for everybody because self-image can't be faked. Self-image can't be lied to and it can't be faked. It can be stretched. Okay? If you're a new shooter, I'm not going to tell you to believe you're the best new shooter at your club. But can you believe you're the best new shooter? Can you believe you're the best D-class or C-class shooter? Can you believe that you're becoming the best C-class shooter at your club? So this is how you stretch self-image in a way that it will accept. Because self-image will not accept a lie. And I've never told anybody to do that. And I think that's a misconception. I think people say, oh, Anderson's going to tell me to pretend I'm a national champion and I'll be one. Well, I've never said anything of the sort. But if you have national champion skills and you don't believe you're a national champion, you will not get access to those skills. Okay? And in the moment, You must pre-accept the results. We've talked about this numerous times, ad nauseum, et al., whatever that means. Italian for etc., aluminium. I don't know. But here's your options. I don't care. Okay, that was me throwing darts the other night. I just didn't care. Don't have dart skills. Not interested in it. I'll do it for fun if somebody invites me, but I really don't care. Okay? Not worried about the results. In this case, I knew I was going to lose. Didn't care. So I threw darts okay. I mean, I got my current level of skill. So I don't care works, but can't be faked. Number two, it is what it is. This is how I shot nationals my last few years of nationals. I knew that if I didn't shoot like Steve, I wouldn't know what I needed to work on. So it was easy. It was easy to shoot like Steve. Okay? I pre-accept the results. It is what it is. Okay? I'll do well is the next one. Okay? This means I know that when I do X, X, and X, if I know what those things are, I'll do well. And then the top one is I'm likely to win, I'm a contender to win, or I'm going to win. That one can't be faked. And you know whether this is true or not. You know, many of you listening to this program tend to win your local matches, and you know it when you get in the car. So you're not worried about the results. That's why you shoot better locally than you do regionally or nationally. Locally, you're not worried about the results because you know you're going to win. A little higher, you start worrying about the results because you don't know you're going to win and you don't really know how you're going to finish. And you're worried about the results. That's why you're shooting below your skill, because you're over-trying. Over-trying prevents access to skill, the same way under-trying does. Okay? Now, when you shoot, well, after you pre-accept the results, you must identify an objective within your control and return to it when you feel anxiety. Okay? I have all kinds of anxiety when I go to steel challenge matches. Well, you're the mental guy. How can you have anxiety? Anxiety can't be controlled. Anxiety is a form of pressure that can't be controlled. But if I have an objective within my control, now I am in control. And when I feel anxious, I return to my objective. Put the dot in the middle of the target. What if? Put the dot in the middle of the target. That works. What if it's slow? Can't change it. I can't change it if it's slow. I got 24 hours in some cases. Can't get faster in 24 hours. And then, once you've got an objective within your control, and for USPSA, IPSC, subconscious stage plan with positive imprints as an executable task. Duplicable, executable. I can get a subconscious stage plan, and I can get positive imprints. And then you're going to shoot with a singular focus, ideally on vision. So, this singular focus, I've called it a focus phrase. Mental management calls it a point of focus. It's your last or only thought. And shooting without thinking is caused by a complete dedication to shot calling. And when I'm calling every shot, I literally am not thinking, I'm observing. It's like when you see a beautiful sunrise or something else beautiful, something attractive, desirable. You're not thinking in that moment. You're just like, holy moly. Now, you'll begin thinking later, but for a short period of time, you are not thinking. You are just observing. That is shot calling. That is the best way and the only way I have ever found to shoot without thinking. Okay? The singular focus on vision means put the dot in the middle of the target and or see what you need to see. Whatever you're going to tell yourself to do. Pick a spot works. And you're just giving your conscious mind an occupation so it doesn't interfere with subconscious skill. Worrying about the results will cause the conscious mind to interfere with subconscious skill. That produces very poor shooting below your skill. And if you think the answer to that is training, you go right ahead. And then you sign a lease, take out a 50-year mortgage in the middle of the pack because you are going to stay there for 50 years. Okay? And you've got to turn vague ideas into executable tasks. Must. The next time you hear some mental game advice, just let go. Okay, what's the task? Just do it. Okay, what's the task? Shoot your game. Got it. What's the task? Turn these vague ideas into executable tasks. And I promise you, when you get a subconscious stage plan with positive imprints and you shoot with a singular focus, which prevents a lot of conscious thought, and you're not worried about the results, you're going to shoot great. Look at your best stages and find something different. You won't be able to find. So even when somebody hooks up and maybe they win the speed shoot, you are going to find they knew it inside and out. They weren't worried about the results and they weren't thinking very much. Find me something different. If there was something different, I'd be talking about it. There is not anything different. Guys, I've been studying this for decades. Decades. Personally certified by Laney Basham to teach his discovery. I've invested most of my adult life in this. You must turn vague ideas into executable tasks. Shooting below your skill level is always tied to self-image, and poor self-image is caused by negative imprints, primarily in training. What does that mean? What that means is you have a collective file cabinet of opinions about your shooting. Okay? Those opinions are formed by the thoughts of ability that you have primarily in training. So if nothing's ever good enough, that's the guy that goes to the match. And if I tend to get it right, that's the guy that goes to the match. It doesn't mean complacency or mediocrity. It means acknowledging when you are getting it right, defining success and celebrating success when it is present. Hey, I had a great practice session today. But if you don't do goal-based practice, if you don't decide what success is before you start, you won't know when you're being successful. Ergo, whatever that means, you won't let yourself be successful. Ergo, et al., etc. Italian for coming up next. I suppose if I ordered my Parm Armory seasoning on my lasagna, I could say et al., etc., coming right up, whatever those things mean. I lost my train of thought. I got into Italian seasoning comedy. Ergo, so how do you fix it? It means you consciously control the imprints to your self-image. See, the conscious mind trains the subconscious and informs self-image. That's always happening. Well, I don't know, middle management. It's not happening to me. Of course it's happening to you. If you change your draw stroke and your first 5 are terrible, well, those are opinions going to your self-image. What you got to do in that example is decide, okay, is this new draw stroke worth it? If so, I need to keep banging on it with a hammer until I get it right. Because self-image and performance are always the same. Self-image and performance are always the same. A shooter who has the skill and believes they're going to have a good performance will have a good performance. Now, whether they win or not depends on their training. Okay? Self-image can't give you access to skill you don't have. I'm a very confident person. It doesn't give me skill throwing darts. So if I want to throw darts better, I got to practice throwing darts. And I got to care for my self-image while I'm doing that. Okay? And the yabbits that I keep hearing in training and in competition are yabbitaging your shooting. You are literally yabbitaging your shooting with your yabbits. Hey, that was a great run. Yeah, but my footwork. Hey, man, that was great. Yeah, but I missed the reload. You are becoming the person that does the yabbits. And I know that you're frustrated. I know you're pissed off. But the only solution is positive or productive thoughts of ability. Even if it's, I'm getting better. Oh, you're telling me to say I'm doing good when I'm not doing good. Well, can you say you're getting better? Can you say you're doing the work? Can you say you're outworking your competition? Can you find something productive to send to your self-image to get access to the skill you're working so hard for? Guys, I don't know if there's anything more frustrating than shooting below your skill. I feel like I'm wasting my time. Then you are. I don't know if my training's effective. Then it isn't. The only mistake you can make in training is negative imprints. And if you're evaluating speed and accuracy at the same time, all the time, that is guaranteed to produce negative imprints. Guaranteed. Okay? So what do I do? Well, you set a today goal. We do this in class all the time. I have never had a person fail to do a sub-second draw that was committed to doing it. Never. We had a guy in mental management online. He's a gunsmith. He says to me, man, if I could just get a sub-second first shot. Okay, cool. We can get that done in about an hour. What do you mean? Go to the berm. Don't even put up a target. Fire a safe shot. Make a loud noise in under a second. Well, that doesn't sound safe. Shooting's not safe. Guns are not safe. There's nothing safe about this. But you can make it safe. You can start with an unloaded gun and a part-time. That's safe. And then you can fire a safe shot into the berm because your first sub-second shot is going to be scary. And it's not going to be an alpha. By the way, your safety is your responsibility. You know when something's truly unsafe. And that's your responsibility. That's not going to be my fault. If I'm there with you, we'll monitor it together. But you've got to learn what it feels like to fire that gun in under a second. It's not going to be an alpha. It doesn't even require a target. Well, what good's a sub-second first shot if I don't hit the target? If you could hit the target with a sub-second first shot, you'd already be doing it. We wouldn't have this conversation. I mean, what are we even doing here? Your first sub-second first shot is not going to be an alpha. But until you know what it feels like to perform that function in under a second, you're not going to be able to hit a target, and you're certainly not going to be able to hit an alpha. Okay? The positive imprints to your self-image are caused by positive or productive thoughts of ability. This must be actively managed. And in training, speed or accuracy is the primary definition of success. If I'm doing an L-Pres at 6 seconds, I'm not going to do a 5.5 with all alphas. If I could, I would already have done it. So that may not be a today goal. But could I perform those tasks in under 5 seconds? Maybe. Maybe, but I'm never going to get 5 seconds with all alphas until I can perform the task in 5 seconds. Never. So what are we even doing here? And that might be the best question to ask when you go to the range for training. I know it's a Steve Anderson catchphrase, and I love it. And every time I hear it, it makes me so happy. And when people report it back to me in their accents or with their additions, and they say, what are we even doing here? When you go to the range, what am I even doing here? What is the definition of success? How can I be successful today? And it doesn't mean that today is your last day of training. If I can't do it in 5 seconds, I'm never going to do it. It means it may not happen today, but I can chip away at it. And you got to understand, training is dragging your subconscious skills out of the subconscious and banging on them with a hammer and then putting them back in the subconscious. And when you bang on something with a hammer, it might not be pretty. And you probably won't be shooting well, air quotes if you're not watching the video. You probably won't be shooting well by the normal definition, but something's getting better. If you choose to acknowledge that something is getting better. So you take a subconscious skill like footwork, you drag it out of the subconscious, you bang on it with a hammer, you figure out a way to do it better, and you don't evaluate accuracy while you're doing this unless it's an accuracy skill, specifically like group shooting. Pardon me. There's a potential, there's a tangent potential. All right, let's go ahead and do it. Okay, group shooting, for example. Well, I got to be able to do it fast. That's not group shooting. Group shooting is shooting a very small group, roughly 3 inches, where the IDPA circle is 3 inches, I think. I'm not an expert in 3 inches because I don't see it very often. Make your own jokes. All right, so, but there's no time component in accuracy training. That's the whole point of the 3 modes of practice. Chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, speed, accuracy, match. Those are the 3 modes of practice. And inside of those modes of practice, you can be successful. But if you complain about one of the other components, you are literally sending impure thoughts of ability to your self-image where they limit access to your subconscious skill. That cannot be outsmarted. Go ahead and try. I'll wait. Okay? But if you set a today goal, which is either speed goal, accuracy, or hit factor, okay, you can be successful if you choose the right goal. I have never failed. When we do USPSA classifiers, oh, now you want me to practice classifiers. Oh, that's how you get to G. Oh, my goodness, with this again. Okay, if I'm training inside of a classifier, do I have a draw? Yeah, I probably do. Is that useful for other things? Yeah, it probably is. Do I have transitions? Yeah, I probably do. Is that useful for other stages? Yeah, it probably is. And if I have movement, is that useful for other stages? If it's lateral movement, forward movement, reverse movement, yeah, I'm going to see that again. So you're practicing and check this out. You're literally practicing the skills by which they evaluate your skill level. Like, what are we even doing here? You know, and there's this other trend I want to complain about. We have reached an era where people would rather argue about training than train. They'd rather study training than train. You know, I made a guy really angry one time when I said, hey, you've called me 3 days in a row and we've talked about dry fire for 20 minutes, 3 days in a row. What if you dry fired for 60 minutes instead of talking to me? What if you just put the rig on and did the work? Most of these questions will be answered if you just put the rig on and do the work. If you do that and you combine it with very conscious positive imprints, and what does that look like? That means in dry fire, every rep is a great rep or a great correction. And say the word great out loud. You want an executable task to fix self-image? The next time you dry fire, say the word great after every rep. What if I screw it up? Then correct it and say it was a great correction. Because that is going to happen to you. Oh, you're telling me to celebrate my mistakes. I'm telling you to correct your mistakes and celebrate the correction instead of stopping and writing a thesis paper on the mistake. That's what I'm telling you to do. If you do not do that, or if you do something different, you're going to shoot below your skill level. And if you've got a better way, do your own podcast about it. Well, what you got to do, drive fire perfection, and then don't care about the results. Awesome. Do your own podcast, write your own book, teach your own class. But if you want to get it right, come with me, because I know how to get it right. I promise. If you can't be positive, be productive. What does that mean? Okay. If I have a bad stage at an important match, I'm not going to be able to be positive. And I wouldn't even try, but I could be productive. What would be productive? Oh, I'm going to do a mental reshoot, and then I'm going to commit myself to firing the gun on an acceptable sight picture and nothing less. Think about it. The biggest mistake in this sport at matches, especially at the intermediate to advanced level, is firing the gun on a poor sight picture. That's it. That's the most common regret 95% of the time. Yeah, I fired the gun on a poor sight picture. The difference between a good shot and a bad shot is 3 to 5 hundredths. That's 0.03, 0.05 of a second. And you'll never regret waiting. Oh, now you're telling me to slow down. Did I say slow down? Did I tell you to slow down? No, I didn't. If I'm in traffic jam, I'm not going to slow down. I'm going to drive according to what's in front of me. I'm going to drive at the speed of sight. That's the right speed. Okay? And dry fire is for speeding that up. Now, the difference between positive and productive. If I get stuck in the wilderness in the winter and I'm positive, okay, I am positive somebody's going to find me, I'm probably going to die. But if I'm productive, shelter, heat, water, food, I don't know what the order is, something like that. But if I do all three, I'm going to get it right. Oh, I need heat, I need shelter, probably to find something to drink, and eventually I'm going to need some food. Food's probably the lowest priority. But I can be productive instead of just blindly being positive. And the course of action is the same or superior when you choose to be productive. Okay, if you have a bad stage, what would be productive? Get a better sight picture next time. If you miss a reload, what would be productive? See the mag well next time. Next time, I will make a better choice for a better outcome. Okay? Worrying about the results is guaranteed to cause undertrying or overtrying. First stage jitters are never going to go away, and that is your reward for it being important to you. Losers don't feel pressure. When I was throwing darts, I didn't feel a speck of pressure because I knew I was going to lose, and I truly didn't care. And I had some great shots. Ironically, the only bad shots I threw was when I thought, ooh, I might be able to win this one. Oh, yeah. But can I? Do I have the skill? I don't know. He's a lot better than I am. I was worried about the results. Causes me to shoot below the mediocre dart throwing skills that I've got. Okay? But when I pre-accept the results, hey, I'm probably going to lose. I'm having fun. Let's just throw some darts. I got some pretty good hitting darts. Is crazy, by the way. You got to hit the 17 3 times in a row, and then what are we even doing here? Good Lord. All right, hope you enjoyed today's program. I want to remind you once again, the class sponsor gets the class for free. We need to get 26 filled up. It's so easy, guys. All you have to do is find a range with USPSA props and call me or email me. We pick a date, and I take it from there. And if you can host me at your house and drive me around, you get the class for free. It's very, very simple. It's not difficult to do. And if you know the match director and they've had classes there before, I have all the insurance and we can deal with the range fees, whatever they are. Pricing's very reasonable right now. So let's get this done. Let's get you to your goal. If you want to do mental management, great. We could do 2 days. We can do mental management in the classroom. We can do a match mode class to learn how to do it. If you want advanced fundamentals, we can do that. If you want movement, me and Keita can come, right? It's very simple. You don't have to be stuck in this mediocrity. You don't have to be stuck shooting below your skill. We can get you the skill and we can get you access to it. Guaranteed. All right, so hope you enjoyed today's program. Please check out Mental Management Online in December 4th, 11th, and 18th. If you want a different time slot on those days, just let me know and I will program it for you. Parma, Ohio, February 1st and 2nd. I think that's a Sunday and a Monday. So go ahead and get the day off work as soon as you can. That one's a little cheaper because one of them is a weekday. Atlanta, we're going to be in the South River Gun Club February 6th, 7th, and 8th. and the journal class is December the 15th. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until we meet again on the range, online, on Zoom, on the phone, or anywhere else you want to get together, be like me, do what I do, say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Love you, bye, and get to work.